Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this evening, the Introduction to the Quest for Life Foundation and our programs. I just want to test that you can all hear me out there and make sure that the audio is working well. So if you'd just like to type in the question box where it is that you're tuning in from this evening, that would be great. That way I know that you can hear me. Fantastic. Darwin, Sunshine Coast, Northern Beaches, Southport, Willoughby, Balmoral, Brisbane. We're from all over. So it's really lovely to have you here this evening. My name's Kate Vandervoort. I've been working with the Quest for Life Foundation on and off for the last 15 years and have been in a variety of roles, including facilitator, marketing manager, business development manager, and now I take care of all of the online services for Quest, including webinars and our social media, and how we connect with people online. So it's really lovely to be here with you this evening. So we're going to cover in this webinar the history of the Quest for Life Foundation, just a brief history, an outline of the Quest for Life programs. We're going to look at the 4 C's, which is it's really the philosophy that underpins all of our programs. So we'll spend a little bit of time looking at that. And then I'll also take you through our other services, and we'll leave plenty of time at the end for any questions that you might have. So we will definitely be less than an hour, depending on how many questions you've got. So we'll get started. So the Quest for Life Foundation was established in 1989 by Petrea King, and since 1984, Petrea's devoted her life to counselling people, facilitating groups, running residential programs, and lecturing widely on health and healing. Until 1995, the Quest for Life Foundation was based in Crow's Nest in Sydney, and in 1995, Quest for Life moved to Bundanoon in the beautiful Southern Highlands of New South Wales. You can see the lovely little train station there in Bundanoon. It's a beautiful little town and a lovely place to spend some time. In 1998, generous benefactors made it possible for the Quest for Life Foundation to purchase a 113-year-old guest house in Bundanoon. After undergoing major refurbishments, the centre opened in May of 1999, and since 1985, more than 80,000 people have attended our nationally acclaimed programs. So there's a picture of the beautiful centre in spring with the blossoms out, and it's a really beautiful place. It's situated on 9 acres, and the grounds are beautiful at any time of the year, but that picture there is obviously in spring. So I want to spend a little bit of time just looking at the philosophy that underpins the work of the Quest for Life Foundation, and it gives you an idea about what sort of things we cover in our programs. So we really look at creating an environment for physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual healing. So it doesn't really matter what it is that brings you to a program at Quest for Life. We really look at a very holistic view of your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual healing. As part of this, we cover relaxation, visualization, and meditation techniques. That can often be a bit scary for people, but Petrea teachers and the other facilitators teach meditation in a very simple and practical way. And you get lots of opportunity to experience that during the program, so that when you go back home, you've already established a bit of a routine that you can continue in your life. We look at understanding stress and harnessing the mind for healing. We really cover, so we identify the causes of stress. What are your symptoms of burnout? How do you know that you're really at the end of your tether? And what is it that you can do to help in those situations? And even just understanding that can be really life-changing for some people. We look at intuition as a guiding force for positive living. So this is really this is really about how do you tune into and listen to your intuition. And one of the things that really sets Quest for Life apart from a lot of the other programs that are available is that we don't believe that we have your answers. The facilitators at Quest have certainly had amazing life experiences. They've been through many traumas and challenges themselves, but we come from a place of you have your own best answers, and by tuning into your intuition, that allows you to find those answers. So we really support you in that process. We help you identify the difference between fear and intuition, and that's a big one for people. How do I know that that niggling feeling is my intuition saying don't do something, or how do I know if it's just fear that's stopping me? And we also really look at understanding the mind-body connection. So how does the mind interact with the body and the power of that connection? We cover practical strategies for increasing health using complementary therapies and diet. Quest for Life is not only about complementary therapies. We absolutely advocate whatever treatment it is that is right for you in your own situation. But we also have a lot of experience in things that can complement medical treatment. And we cover those particularly on the Quest for Life program, which is more for people with cancer and other life-threatening illness. As part of that, we also cover managing pain, sleep, symptoms, and side effects. And sleep is a really big one for everybody. You would know that when you're having a challenging time in life, if you're not sleeping well, it exacerbates whatever the circumstances are in your life. So we really cover some of the rituals and techniques that you can use to get better sleep. We look at enhancing communication, resilience, relationships, and connectedness. So as part of that, we talk about forgiveness, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And then the big one or the little one, depending on how you look at it, but peace of mind, what it is and how to have it. And really the key to the programs at Quest is about how do you achieve peace of mind despite the circumstances that you have happening in your life. So in terms of the different programs that we have available, we do have shorter programs and some other programs that run on a less frequent basis, but our two core programs are Healing Your Life and Quest for Life. Now, Healing Your Life is really for anybody that's facing major life challenges. All manner of things bring people to this program. For some, it's that they're a survivor of trauma or abuse, or they're living with depression or anxiety, or have been through some kind of loss or grief. Now, for some people, that can be the breakup of a long-term relationship, the loss of a job. But really what brings people to the Healing Your Life program tends to be that they're at a crossroads in their life and they're needing to make some choices or decisions about how it is that they're going to move forward. So Healing Your Life is really for anyone that feels that that's the right program, because we all have circumstances in our life that are challenging, and some are more than others. But we always say that, it's not a competition to see who's suffering the most. Whoever comes to those programs, they're there because they feel that they have something to work on or something to get from attending that program. The Quest for Life program is for people with cancer or other life-threatening illness or chronic illness and their loved ones. So on the Quest for Life program, we cover a lot of the similar content to Healing Your Life, because a lot of those challenges we're still facing around communication, around our relationships, around the meaning and purpose that we have in our life. But in the Quest for Life program, we also focus much more on the complementary therapies, the diet, the nutrition. What are the things that you can do to make that journey easier? And there's also sessions in that program. Should you bring a partner or a loved one with you to that program, there are sessions that are particularly for them. We often say that loving someone with a life-threatening illness can be more difficult than actually having the illness, because you can feel so helpless and unable to do much. So partners and loved ones often feel high levels of distress or anxiety or frustration at not being able to do more. So we really provide some sessions in the programs to support those people as well. On every one of our programs, we have a team of 2 facilitators. Now, as I mentioned, all of our facilitators, they're all highly trained, but they've also all had very real life experience. So they don't sit up the room and pretend to be all fixed up and, you know, give you a sermon on what they think that you should do in your life. They're really there to walk that journey with you and to share some of the wisdom and experience that they have. But we really encourage you right throughout the program to take what works and leave what doesn't. And that's really about listening to your own intuition. There is no one size fits all. So it's really important that you take what resonates with you. And the facilitators are really good at providing the space for you to do that. On every program, we have 2 support staff. One of those is a senior support person who has been with the Quest for Life Foundation for quite some time. They come repeatedly on programs. And generally, the secondary support person is a counselling or psychology student who's there on placement, and often they come back more than once as well. The support staff are really there to make your stay with us as comfortable as possible. So if you need water or tissues, or you need to communicate something with the kitchen, or you want someone to have a chat with during a break over a cuppa, that's what the support people are there for. And they're really there to be of service, and they cherish that role. So they play a really important part on the program. Every program has a massage therapist. We'll often talk about having our issues in our tissues. So when you're dealing with any kind of significant emotional challenge in your life, to actually help the body relax can really help mentally and emotionally as well, not to mention just the pure physical benefits of having a massage. One of our massage therapists has been with Quest for Life for more than 12 years. So all of our therapists are very experienced and have spent a long time with Quest. And they're really used to working with people who may have a real challenge with being touched in massage, or people who have got some kind of physical restriction due to illness or surgery. So they're very well experienced in working in the Quest for Life environment. Every program also has a counsellor. Whilst there's a lot of time in the program and in the group for you to have your questions answered, talk about your own unique circumstances and have the facilitators speak about that, we often find that a counsellor can help just with some one-on-one time during a program. And they're really experienced at applying the content of the program to your own particular circumstances. So we really encourage people to have a counselling session while they're with us. It can give you just some more space to unpack what it is that's going on for you, and to get some really skilled advice or skilled support in your own unique circumstances. So we have quite a large team on each program, but they're very, very experienced and very dedicated to providing an environment that is safe and supportive for you. We also have a wonderful kitchen team that cook amazing meals, and you'll see some pictures of the meals coming up. So a typical day on our programs is that we start at about 7:30 in the morning with a gentle stretch and meditation. Now that's an optional session, so for those of you who live very busy lives or are used to children jumping on the bed early in the morning, sometimes a sleep in is what you need at that time, and we're really supportive of that. But having a gentle stretch and a meditation in the morning is a wonderful way to start the day. The facilitator that does the stretching in the morning, generally it's Bernadette, and you can see a picture of her on the left-hand side there doing some stretches. She's been with Quest for about 10 years now. So she's a qualified yoga teacher, but she has a lot of experience in people that might have, mobility issues, not able to raise their arms or not able to move around a lot. So she has a lot of experience in tailoring what it is that she does to the group that's present. All of our programs are very tailored to the people who are present, but Bernadette has a wonderful skill of adjusting the stretches depending on people's level of physical ability. And in that morning session, each morning we do a different one of Patria's meditation CDs each morning. The reason we do that is that a lot of people want to take home a CD and they want the opportunity to actually experience them while they're there so that they know what it is that they'd like to take home. Then we have breakfast. That's generally a hot and cold breakfast. We have a morning content session, and there's a variety of things that are covered in those morning sessions, and we'll look into that in a bit more detail in a moment. About mid-morning, we have a juice break, and there's fresh juice on the programs. An amazing juice of, I think it's carrot, beetroot, celery, and apple with some ginger in it. And it's wonderful to have somebody else making the juice for you and cleaning the juicer afterwards. We then have another session from 11:30 till 1. You'll see that lunch is from 1 till 3:30, and it's quite a long lunch break. This isn't one of those programs where we pack in as much content as we can. This is really our programs are really about creating a nurturing environment, because when we're running around in our day-to-day lives and dealing with the stresses and challenges that we're facing, we're often holding our bodies and gritting our teeth and not sleeping well. And we really want to provide you with an opportunity just to settle and to rest and to come back into yourself. And so we provide a lot of space for things like massage, counselling. A lot of wonderful conversations happen between the participants during the program, particularly in those break times. Over lunch, people might choose to go for a walk in the garden or have a nap, or have a little walk into town. We're also about 1 kilometre away from the national park, and there's some beautiful walks down there, so often groups will go down and have a walk over lunch as well. At 3:30, we come back in, and that first session after lunch or after the lunch break is we generally put you into a deep relaxation. So we have pillows and blankets, and if you're lucky, the support team will rub lavender into your temples. Again, we want to give you a regular experience of relaxation so that your body starts to understand what that is. And we really give you the techniques so that you can take that back and put that in place in your own day-to-day life. In those afternoon sessions, that's often where we'll talk about things like sleep or other challenges that might compound the circumstances that we're facing. We then have another juice break and a shorter session before the evening meal. Again, there's an hour and a half over dinner to give people plenty of time if they want to have a massage or a counselling session during that break. And the evening sessions are generally quite light. So it'll be either a DVD or we have some other nice activities that happen in the evening. I won't spoil the surprise about that because they're a nice addition to the program. But again, should you feel like you really need an early night, we really encourage that. The program's really about doing what feels right for yourself and for your body and really getting the rest as well as the program content. So I want to spend a moment now speaking about some of the program content just to give you a flavour for what we might cover in the programs. So when we're dealing with any major stress in our life, we often get to that place where we say, that's it, something's got to change, and it's me. And it's a terrible, awful, wonderful, exciting, terrifying place to be when you realise that something's got to change and it's me. And often it's one of the D's that we bump into. It might be a drought, a despair, a depression, a diagnosis, a disaster. Patria talks about these D's. It's amazing how many you can think of when you think about it. But these are things that we bump into that really stop us in our tracks and really cause us to consider how it is that we're going to deal with the challenges that are in our life. And it's about, we can't change the outer circumstances, but what we can change is how it is that we perceive those circumstances. And it's about no longer letting the outer circumstances dictate our reality. Because when you want peace more than anything, when you want peace more than a cure, more than revenge, when you want peace more than anything, the whole universe will conspire to bring it about. And you'll begin to find the stepping stones of where it is that you need to go. And I'm sure that you've all had the experience of saying, that's it, something's got to change. And it did. You might have picked up a book and opened a page, and it was the perfect thing that you needed to read right then. You might have heard someone on the radio or met someone in your life that introduces you to somebody or something. You might see a flyer for a yoga class in a shop window, and you just decided that you wanted to do yoga, and you might have walked past that shop window hundreds of times before, but that's the first time that you've noticed it. Now, if we want peace, it's made up of 4 particular qualities, and we call these qualities the 4 C's. Excuse me. Now, the 4 C's came from work that was done in the 80s by a woman called Carol Hirschberg. And she did some research on people who had gone into spontaneous remission. So these were people who had been given a diagnosis that was deemed to be terminal, so they were not expected to live. And there were 2,000 people in this research, and they had all gone into spontaneous remission, so their doctors were not expecting them to go into remission. And what they were expecting to find was that there were all these things that these people did in common. They were hoping to find that it was all medical treatment, or it was all juices, or it was all crystals, or chanting, or meditating. But they found out something really interesting. They found that these 2,000 people did really different things. There was very little consistency in the patterns of what it was that they did around their illness. But what they did find was that they had 4 particular qualities in common. And those 4 particular qualities really are the key to peace of mind. And we call those the 4 C's at Quest for Life. And we spend quite a bit of time on these because they're a wonderful framework for living. So I want to spend a moment just speaking about the first C. And the first C is about regaining control over our response to life. Now, this one is really about the difference between reacting or responding. And it recognizes that you can't always change what happens to you. We know that terrible things happen to perfectly good people all of the time. So a reaction is literally a reactivation of a physiology that we've experienced before. So normally when I'm in a room with a group of people, I'll ask you to think of a time when you've reacted, and think of where it is that you feel the reaction. So take a moment. It might be when someone pushes in front of you in the shopping queue, someone cuts you off in traffic. It might be that the dog's barking incessantly, the children are running around the house screaming because it's raining and it's school holidays. But think of a time when you've really reacted. And if you think about where you feel that in your body, what people tend to say is that they get sweaty palms, their heart rate increases, they might begin to shake, they might feel hot. Their shoulders might tense up. They might feel it in their gut or their stomach. You'll know what your own physical symptoms are. But this is a full-on reactivation of a physiology that you've experienced before. And if we're always reacting, then we're always reactivating our past and living it again in the present. If we keep doing this, then all of our presents are just a repeat of our pasts. And we continue living out the past, and we're never really here in the moment to respond to the present. Because a response is really different. And if you look at the word reacting, if we actually move the C back to the beginning, we're back in creating. And creation is always a present time activity. You can't create in 5 minutes. You can't create 5 minutes ago. You have to be here now in order to be in creation. Now, if we look at the example of grief, let's say at the loss of a loved one, a reaction might be that we shut out those who are closest to us. We might yell at the dog who keeps scratching at the door. We might drown our sorrows with alcohol or other substances. We might feel stuck or immobilized by the grief. And all of those are really understandable reactions to grief. No one would ever judge you for feeling that way or experiencing that after a significant loss or grief. But an appropriate response might be that you put aside Tuesday morning to sit in your pajamas. You might open all the windows, let some fresh air through the house. You might take out a photo album with photos of the person that you love. You might put on some music that reminds you of that person, have tissues nearby. But you might carve out some time to just be with your grief. Some people might need assistance with this, so it might be doing a program or seeing a counsellor or being part of a support group. But you can see that that's a really different response to the same situation. And we're not saying that any of this is easy. It is simple, but it's not necessarily easy. And sometimes just understanding these principles can help to begin to put these new patterns of behaviour in place. But this is really the difference between reacting to everything that happens to us or feeling that we're in a clear place where we can make an appropriate response moment by moment to the challenges that we experience. And it takes awareness. This is why we encourage meditation and mindfulness, to just give you that space to have a little bit more choice about how you might respond to the circumstances that are occurring in your life. So that's the first C, and there's a lot more in the first C around reaction and response, and we certainly cover more of that in the program, but that gives you an idea around some of our content. I know that the first question, if I don't cover this now, the first question would be, what are the other 3 C's? So I am going to just let you know what they are briefly. However, you could really spend a full day on each of these C's, and there's a lot in them that really helps to put a framework around your life to move forward. So the second C is a commitment to living. And this one is really about 3 things. So this is about our priorities or how we manage our time. It's about forgiveness. There's a whole program just in forgiveness, I'm sure, but we do definitely spend time on forgiveness, and whether that's about forgiveness of other people or forgiveness of ourselves, that's often a really big issue for people. And this is also about the language we use. So we really look at the language that we're using to describe our own circumstances, both to ourselves and to others, and our daily language and what we might be able to change to give us a more positive framework. The third C is a sense of challenge, and this is really about the meaning that we give the circumstances in our life or the events of our life. So events have no intrinsic meaning. That's part of being human, is that we give meaning to the events of our life. And so finding this sense of challenge is really about how do we give meaning to the things that are happening in our life. And the third C is a sense of connectedness. And this is about being connected to people or a spiritual belief system. But it kind of makes sense that for people who are reacting to everything in their life, they have no commitment to their life, they feel out of control with their time and their priorities, they say yes to everybody and do everything for everybody else. They have no meaning or purpose in their life, or everything feels too overwhelming or too depressing or negative, and they feel disconnected from people in their life or from any sense of a larger purpose in life. It's common sense that those people are going to fare far worse than those for whom the opposite is true. And so that's why these 4Cs really underpin the work of Quest, because it is a wonderful framework for life. So I want to talk now about just some of the other services that Quest for Life provides aside from the programs. We have day programs, so these will be with Patria and also with other facilitators. Often they're about topics like meditation, resilience, how do you build resilience in children. We do cooking and healthy living. There's all manner of day program topics that we cover. So you can check on our website what our next programs are that are available. And we run those sometimes in capital cities and regional areas, but most often they're run at Bundanoon at our centre there. We also run webinars. So Patria or other guest facilitators will run a 1-hour webinar, kind of similar to what it is that you've tuned into this evening. So there'll be slides and you can hear Patria speak, but it gives you a wonderful opportunity to have Patria or other facilitators and to have access to the program content in the comfort of your own home. And a lot of people who've been on programs find that the webinars are a nice reminder and a lovely way to stay in connected with the Quest for Life community. Our counsellors, who have all, as I've mentioned, got extensive experience in working with Quest for Life, they're available outside of the programs. So we have counsellors based on the Central Coast, Sydney, South Coast. So they're available for one-on-one counselling face-to-face, but they also do phone counselling if you're in an area that is not close to Sydney. Those sessions, people sometimes find that they want to see a counsellor prior to coming on a program just to help in the interim between when they decide to come and when the program starts. A lot of people choose to see a counsellor after the program to continue to work through some of the learnings that they've gained from a program and some of the insights that they might have gained. So the counsellor's details are all on our website under the Counsellors Hub. We also do tailor-made programs. Now, we do these in all sorts of communities around Australia. We've just recently done some flood relief or trauma recovery programs in Queensland. We've done similar programs in Victoria. Our facilitators are available to come into organisations. So sometimes we'll come in and work with carers or with staff or people who are dealing with particular health challenges. So we have these tailor-made programs that are very flexible given the needs of communities or organisations who might be seeking our facilitators' support. And we also have quite an active presence on social networking. So we have a thriving Facebook community, and if you haven't already liked our page, we really encourage you to. It's a wonderful way to stay connected to Quest. We certainly put out on Facebook when Patria is in the media. We put program information up. We have daily inspiration. We put all sorts of amazing articles and research about meditation, about health and diet and nutrition. So it's a really thriving community with lots of current and up-to-date information. And it's nice to get just a dose of inspiration in your Facebook newsfeed every day. We're also on Twitter, and we have a facilitators blog, and our facilitators write regularly for the blog. They do that as part of their gift to the Quest community, and they really those blogs are really about applying the content at Quest to their own experience and their own day-to-day. So they're very relevant. So I encourage you to subscribe to the blog. You can access all of that through our website, and that way you get a weekly blog in your inbox. And we also post that on Facebook as well. I want to cover now the costs of a 5-day residential program. So a triple share room is $17.95, a twin share is $19.95, and a single room is $24.95. We do have financial subsidies that are available for New South Wales Health. So if you're on a pension or if you're dealing with financial challenges, please speak to us. Do not allow financial issues to be the reason for not coming on a program. Our program coordinator is very good at understanding the particular circumstances that you might have, and we do payment plans. We also have fundraising available for people that don't live in New South Wales that can help to subsidise programs as well. So don't let finances be the reason that you give yourself for not attending a program, because we're certainly very happy to do what we can to support you in attending a program. In terms of our upcoming programs, you can find all of the program dates on our website, or you can call the office, and the details are there on the screen. They'll be there again at the end of the webinar as well. What we want to do now is give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have. I've given you the broad overview of the programs and what it is that we do at Quest and some of our philosophy. But generally, you at home have got your own particular questions that are burning questions. So feel free to ask those. And as those questions are coming in, I'm going to just show you a little bit of a slideshow so that you can see the Quest for Life Centre. And if there aren't any current questions, then I'll just speak about the pictures that I'm showing you. So this is actually our dining room, and that's where all of our meals happen. There's always fresh fruit and cakes and biscuits, all healthy, of course. So I have a question here from Sally just about whether she can bring her partner. Sally, absolutely. We really encourage on the Quest for Life program in particular that you bring your partner or a support person. But it's also relevant for the Healing Your Life program. Sometimes people feel like they just need time out on their own, and that's absolutely understandable and perfectly fine. In fact, most people who are there are on their own, but we always have some people that come together. Sometimes it's siblings, sometimes it's parent and child. But it can actually be really useful for you to have somebody else in your life who's operating from the new framework as well. Because we do really provide you with a new framework or a different framework for your life. And having somebody else to support in that process can be really, really valuable. So it really depends on your individual circumstances, and I encourage you to speak to Suzanne, our program coordinator, if you want to speak that, if you want to talk that through. But often people do bring a loved one on a program. All of our rooms, you can see one of the bedrooms there. We actually have rooms in the main building, and I've just seen a question come through from Bob just around access and sorry, I'm just reading that question. So just around access to the building, we do have a couple of rooms that are wheelchair accessible or that are just on the flat so that it's very easy access to get in and around the building. We also have 2 lodges, and the lodges are a little bit of a walking distance, but it's a very short distance, and it's all undercover. And each of the lodges has got 4 rooms in it with a lovely lounge room in the middle where a lot of cuppers and conversations happen outside of the program time. I also have a question from Damien about how well you have to be to attend. Damien, we're definitely not a medical facility, so it's really important that you're able to care for yourself or that you bring a carer who is able to do that. We don't have medical staff on site. We do have doctors in Bundanoon who will come up to the centre. Sometimes people require injections for treatment or other medical help, and the doctors from Bundanoon are very happy to come up to the centre and see people. And we're about 30 minutes from a hospital, so it is important that people have got a relative level of health. We do adapt very well to people who are feeling unwell or weak or tired. We even have comfortable beds in the main room that we can incorporate into the program circle if you need to lie down. So we're very used to having people who might be at varying levels of health, but you do need to be able to take care of yourself, as we're not a medical facility. So that's a picture of the front of our beautiful building. It sits up on a hill and looks down over the town of Bundanoon. There's some more pictures of the gardens. We've got beautiful little nooks and crannies all around the garden where you can sit and have a peaceful moment and just enjoy the grounds. We have some lovely water features and shady trees to sit under. This next picture is a picture of the main room. I've got a question here from Danielle about how many people are actually on a program. I can see that's been prompted by that photo of a large circle. The program numbers, Danielle, do vary, and they tend to range from about 18 to 25. Anything less than 18, you actually don't get as much of a rich experience because people's own stories and circumstances, it's amazing how much we can learn from each other when in the circle. And the facilitators say that after every program, that it's never the same, and they always learn so much from the participants who are present, and the participants really learn a lot from each other. So most of the sessions happen in this main room, and remembering that the support team are also in at the same time, but the programs tend to be capped at 25, so it is a nice intimate group, but having that diversity really adds something to the program as well. I have a question from Lynn about how far from Sydney is it and how do you get here? So Bundanoon is actually on the train line, and you can catch a train from Sydney. If you're driving from Sydney, it's just under 2 hours. The train takes a little bit longer, I believe. But for people who are flying into Sydney, there is the airport line which connects up to the line down to Bundanoon. We will often pick people up from the train station. So there's lots of ways to get here. And again, feel free to ring the office and speak with Suzanne about your own particular circumstances and how it is that you might get here, and she'll be able to answer those questions for you. Got a question from Michael about what kind of food we provide. So we're not only vegetarian. We do serve fish and chicken. We don't serve red meat. But every meal there's a large variety to choose from. So there's generally 2 main dishes and then a number of salads or side dishes, and there's also dessert on in the evenings, or yes, I think it's in the evenings rather than lunchtime, and the desserts are delectable and healthy, of course. So there's always plenty of food. Our biggest challenge at the end of the program is to make sure that we keep our kitchen staff and that they don't get kidnapped by our participants, because they always want to take our cook home so they don't have to cook themselves. But there's something quite wonderful about somebody else cooking for you and doing the washing up. So again, we just really want to give you a nurturing experience while you're there. This next picture is out the back of the main room, and if the weather's nice, we will often have meals out here. You can see the beautiful wisteria that's in bloom over our archway there. And this is the shop. So we have all of Patria's books and CDs available, as well as some other products. People often for those that would like some of the products before they attend a program, you can order all of those online and we'll send them straight out to you so that you can either begin meditating or reading. We certainly recommend reading Patria's books before attending a program. That can be a really good way to start to get some of the ideas and frameworks in place, and will help you to get more out of the program. But we include that information when you register for a program. This is the lounge room in one of our lodges. We literally have people from all around Australia, and we even have people from overseas who come and attend programs. So don't let distance be something that puts you off either. There's something really wonderful about giving yourself the gift of 5 days out of your own life where you're being nurtured and supported and cooked for. And Wendy, one of our facilitators, talks about fluffing yourself up. So she would say that we'll come and we'll look after you and we'll fluff you up. So this picture here is one of the rose gardens. So that's in between the two lodges. And this rose garden was built in memory of Isabel, who came on a number of programs with us, and her family regularly come to Quest and spend time in the garden, and they cultivate these beautiful roses to provide a lovely view for participants who are living in our cottages. That's another image of the rose garden there. They really are beautiful gardens. It's a very special place to be. People often say that they drive up the driveway and sometimes they burst into tears because they just feel like they're in a safe place and they can begin to let go. But people always say that as they drive up the driveway and hear the crunch of the gravel under their tyres, that they immediately begin to relax and feel a sense of ease. That's a lovely pergola that we have, so you can sit out. It's lovely in the rain to kind of sit out there, particularly on a misty, rainy day, to sit out on the pergola and look out over the gardens. And that's a fabulous picture in autumn when all the leaves drop. So it really is beautiful any time of the year. Susie's just asking a question about how cold it is in winter. Look, it certainly is, given that we are in the Highlands, it certainly is a little chilly in winter, and we do get frost on the grass, but all of the buildings are very warm. So we have an open fire in the main building. We have inbuilt heating in every room in the main building. We have gas heating in the lodges. We have electric blankets on all of the beds. We have hot water bottles if you need more warmth. We have blankets and knee rugs in the main room. So whilst you're inside, it's toasty warm and very cozy, and it's actually a lovely time of the year to be in Bundanoon with the open fire. So yes, and Bundanoon can have 4 seasons in one day. It's quite an interesting place in terms of the climate and the changes in the weather. But it's a beautiful location and a beautiful place to be, regardless of the weather. So if there are no more questions, we've come to the end of the webinar. If we can be of any assistance at all, please contact us. All of the contact details are there on the screen in front of you. Our program staff in the office are really happy to answer any of the questions that you might have, and they often go beyond the call of duty to make sure that your time with us is comfortable. So thank you very much for being with us this evening and for all of your questions, and we look forward to our paths crossing with you soon. Have a lovely evening.